Okay, welcome to the webinar about, sorry about that, that was a little bit fast, about Dropbox. My name is Matthias Sturm. I work for Alpha Plus, and I've been working with my colleagues here at Alpha Plus for about 13 years. Mostly we and I focus on what we call tech coaching or tech consulting, which is working directly with LBS organizations to tackle all sorts of issues that have to do with digital technology, if it's about instruction or administrative stuff, almost anything goes. And I do a lot of research about digital technology and assessments. Most recently, we've looked closer at the milestones, especially digital technology milestones, and a little bit of learning games as well, since that is one of the next things that's coming. I'm like most of my colleagues, I facilitate presentations, workshops on the practical application of digital technology for teaching and learning. And personally and at work, I've been a user of Dropbox and Google Drive for quite a bit of time. So that relates to this webinar. I mentioned before there's two short videos. So if you want, you can download the slides from the right-hand side under the handouts menu, or you can download it directly from my Dropbox. I'll just have to send you the link, and you can already see how that works. Okay, so you'll just have to click on that, and you'll see that it will open the PDF file, and you can also leave comments there on the site that then everybody can see. And you're welcome to do that. That'd be great. Okay, so today we're going to talk quite a bit about Dropbox. We'll review what Dropbox is for those of you who are not familiar with Dropbox, how it works, what differences are between Dropbox and Google Drive. You might be familiar with Google Drive as an online cloud storage system. We'll review some new tools that Dropbox has added recently. We'll quickly look at that. New productivity tools and sharing features. And then the main focus of the webinar is how to network computers with Dropbox. And that's something that has come up when we were working with an LBS, with a couple of LBS agencies over the years. We're also going to quickly look at how to back up files with Dropbox. Maybe then we can have a quick discussion why you use Dropbox. You can make comments if you like and ask questions, and then we'll just have a quick look at resources to get you going if you decide that it's something you want to try out. The banner up there is from a artist who did all the graphic design for Dropbox, Alice Lee. So. Okay, so what is Dropbox? That's the short video I will play, and if you like to play it on your own, you're welcome to do that. I'll just have to paste that into my web browser and share the web browser with you. And play. Great. I hope that came across okay. That little overview. I especially like the dancing moves in there, and I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea. Um, so how does Dropbox work? Dropbox can save files on your computer, and then you can access them on your phone, from the road, anywhere you are. Everything you keep in Dropbox is synced automatically to all your devices. So what that means, not only is there a copy on your device, on the different devices that it is synced to, there's also a copy on a server and on a computer in the cloud for backup, and so you can work on them on the files offline also, and they sync the next time you get online. Um, you can save any kind of file on Dropbox, from photos to videos and music to Microsoft Office and Adobe files. So it's really like any other folder you have on your computer. The difference is that it always has a backup copy automatically on a cloud server. You can sync files across all the devices, whether you use a PC, a Mac, Android, iPad, iPhone, and Windows Phone, which is good. So if you use different devices like a PC and an iPhone, Apple device, Microsoft device, it is compatible. And your files are available on your computer even when you're offline, as I mentioned before. So you can work from anywhere. You can edit them, change them, and the next time your device is connected, your computer is connected, or your iPad is connected, it will update the backup copy in the cloud. So how does it work? Dropbox is a folder on your computer. It looks like a documents or your photos folder, but it does a lot more. I'll show you screenshots on the next slide, so you can see what that really looks like. It looks like a folder in your Windows Explorer if you have a PC. Files that you put there in your Dropbox folder are automatically backed up for you on Dropbox.com. That's the cloud server. You can also have subfolders in that folder, so you can build up a folder structure within that folder to organize your files. Everything you put in Dropbox is private unless you choose to share it. That's very important. So it is on the web, and you can access it on the internet, but you need a password and username to get there. And unless you choose to share it with somebody, nobody else will see it. So you can share folders or individual files. You can drag and drop your first file into the Dropbox folder, not only the first file, every file you can drag and drop, or whichever way you already organize your files, save your files, it will work the same way. So Dropbox doesn't only have that a way to access it on the web. It also has a way just to sync it directly on your computer. For that to work, you need to download a little software. That doesn't take long to install, and you can do that right from Dropbox.com. If you do have admin restrictions on the computers that you're using, because it's maybe your office computer, you might have to get an admin password to be able to do that install. Okay, so there's a cloud-based, the web-based version on the internet of Dropbox. We'll look at that after, and then there's the one that you download, which we'll refer to as the desktop version of Dropbox. Sorry, I just saw Tara's message. Audio is weird for me. Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe that is my new headphone. I'll have to look into that. I was hoping it was going to be okay. Hopefully, it's okay for everybody. So the desktop version of Dropbox, which works online and offline. And by online, offline, I mean if you're connected to the internet or not with the computer that you're using it on. It installs itself when you download the little software in Windows Explorer, like you see on the left-hand side there. So it just creates another folder, which is called Dropbox, in your favorites there. And then you can just drag and drop files in there, like you do in Windows Explorer. Or you can, let's say if you're in Word and you save your file and you choose Save As and choose a different name and a different folder, you can choose the Dropbox folder or a folder within a subfolder within the Dropbox folder and save your files there. And it will be on the, then one copy will be on the, literally on the computer. So even when you're offline, you can open that file, but automatically if it's in that folder and only if it's in that Dropbox folder, will it be synced to the folder that's the backup folder on the web. On the web, it'll look like this. The web access is quite good because if then you need to get access to your Dropbox folder from a computer that you're not usually using, from a public computer, or from a computer where you just don't want to anybody else who's using that computer to have access to your Dropbox folder, like maybe it's a computer you share at home with everybody in your family. You might want to use, you could use the web-based version, and then it's password protected from the computer that you're using it. So you can see on the top left here, there's a simple sign-in page, username and password, and then it's just listed in a web-based format. On the left-hand side, you can choose files or recent files. That's also a way to share with teams, that kind of thing. That's a little bit more complicated. I won't get into that today. So under the file menu, you will see the subfolders that you created. For me, it's you can see IT coaching from 2 years ago, and from last year, or from this year, I'm sorry. And for example, you can see the folder that's called Okra folder. I work together on a project that's funded through the Ontario Human Capital and Research Innovation Fund, and that's a folder I share with the two people I work with. That's why it has two little persons in it. So you can, the other folders that don't have that in it, they're folders just for me. So I only have access. Up there, you can see just underneath upgrade account, you can see there's an icon to add a new folder, to add a file, to upload a file. So you can do that also through the web. It's a lot easier though to do through the desktop version, because there you can just drag and drop or do it the same way that you're used to doing. It's, for example, right-clicking and making a new folder of those kinds of things. So Dropbox also syncs and works with a lot of mobile devices. So you can access all your files on these devices, even when you're offline, on your iPhone, iPad, Kindle, Windows Phone. The premise is that it always downloads a copy, keeps a copy on that device, and when you're connected, it'll compare and update either the copy on the device or the copy that's on the cloud server, whichever one is newer. You can back up photos and videos automatically if you choose to do that. For example, if you're using it from your iPhone and you take a lot of photos there and you want to back them up. You can send large files and share links to your largest files without using email attachments. That's a big bonus for a lot of people. And you can even create and edit Microsoft Office files from your phone and from your tablet. Oh, hi, Candice. I saw your message. Thank you. So Candice is saying I made an Excel sheet and shared it whenever I updated it. Someone else was also using it. It created another file, and then I had to delete mine, even though it was shared. Can you help with that? Oh yeah, I can try to help you with that. I have your email address, Candice, so I'll get back to you on that. That's a good. Not sure what happened there, but that's something to investigate. Thank you. So Dropbox versus Google Drive. How's it different? There's a few differences, but they're both very good products if that's what you're looking for. There's also OneDrive, which I'm not that familiar with, so I didn't include it in that comparison. But there's more and more. Not, I don't think yet a lot of people using OneDrive, but it's coming. So Dropbox has 2 gigabytes, a storage of free storage of 2 gigabytes you get when you sign up for the account. And when you refer people, you get additional storage or that kind of thing. So if you invite somebody else, if you share a file with somebody who doesn't have a Dropbox account and they sign up for Dropbox, they don't have to. If you're sharing a file, you can also share it with people who don't have a Dropbox account. But if they happen to sign up to an account, you end up with more storage. Google Drive gives a lot more storage, but it shares that storage across your Gmail, including the attachments, like anything, any Google service shares those 15 gigabytes. So it's a lot, but it's not as much as it looks at the face of it. Access is quite similar. You can do the same things with Google Drive that I described before. Sharing files is also quite similar. If you download the Google Drive, also has a downloadable add-on that integrates into your Windows Explorer. Syncing, what is called selective sync, which is important when you have free accounts because you don't necessarily want to maybe sync everything that you store there for backup. You might just want to have it stored there in those folders, but not necessarily sync it across all your devices. Maybe your phone doesn't have that much storage room on the phone, things like that. Their Dropbox is better because you can actually select subfolders and individual files to share. You can't do that on Google Drive yet, as far as I'm aware. Collaborating. On Google, of course, you have all the Google tools, the Google Docs, the Google Sheets, those kind of things integrated in it. But if you're more used to working with the Microsoft Office suite, that integrates a lot better with Dropbox. In Google Drive, you can do that, but you have to upload it and then change the format into a Google format, into a Google Sheet, a Google Doc format, and then download it again and export it as a Microsoft format if you want to share it that way. Whereas Dropbox works directly with Microsoft Office. But then, of course, you need a licensed Microsoft Office suite, and you might have to pay for the license. But if you have that already, Dropbox might work for you better. Photos, Dropbox with the 2 gigabytes has a little bit limited storage for that, but it does have better sharing features and automatic sync and backup features for photos than Google Drive has. Productivity tools, Dropbox works with the full Microsoft Office suite tools, and Google provides the Google Suite tools, which are more basic than the Microsoft Office suite, but it might be enough for what you're using it for. Search is a little bit different. Of course, Google is very strong on the search features because it's a search engine first and foremost. So that's in Dropbox, you use the search that comes with your Windows or Mac computer, like you search folders. But then you can, if you're not sure, I guess the benefit of using Dropbox and here, and as far as the search is concerned, if you're not sure where you placed your file, if it's in the Dropbox folder or outside of it, it'll search your whole computer for it. Whereas the Google search will only search what's on Google. Speed Dropbox is way better if you sharing a lot of large files. That Google Drive is not really good for that. They're really good in sharing their Google Docs and things that you create on Google. Security is the same. There's 2-factor authentication, which is more and more encouraged, which means not only the password, but also set up recovery options and security questions, those kind of things. Both do encrypt during transit. So when you send the file, and your files are encrypted when they're stored, but they don't provide any private keys. What that means is that they also store the encryption keys, and if you are concerned, or if your organization is very concerned about privacy issues, and you're looking for a backup solution, for example, for something that also includes confidential learner data, then Dropbox and Google Drive is not a good idea. Then probably something like SpiderOak, which allows you to keep your own encryption keys. So SpiderOak, for example, doesn't have a copy, doesn't have your keys, so they cannot look at the content of your encrypted file. Privacy, Google, of course, does a lot of scanning of files and messages. That's kind of the business that they're in, to find keywords, to find out how people are using their services, how they're using the web, those kind of things, to place better ads, to do things like that. In terms of privacy, Dropbox is a little bit better there because they're not such a big service. They do have a lot of users, but they're not as widespread in terms of what they're providing. And in the resources slide at the end, there's a link where you can find out a little bit more about how to protect, how to deal with privacy on things like not only Dropbox, it's also useful for other things. Okay, another little video. So I'll do the same thing as before. I will play it, and feel free to play it on your own if it doesn't work for you. Okay, hope that played okay for you. I have a question there from Norma Jean. Are you confident that Dropbox will remain free if you only use the 2 GB? I think so. Of course, that's always a little bit of guesswork, but their business model is to get people to use it, and then hope that you upgrade if you need more space. So if you only stay with the 2 GB, I've never upgraded, I've never paid for it. If you manage your files well, I don't see any reason why you need more, unless you maybe storing photos or let's say PowerPoint presentations with a lot of photos in them, or PDFs with a lot of photos in them. They tend to be very, very big. But if you're not doing a lot of that, I don't see any reason why you should be running out of room, and I don't see any reason why it should not remain free, since it's kind of the incentive model to get people to rely on the service, and then maybe eventually pay for it. But you don't have to. Okay, so as you can see, then that the productivity tools and sharing features are quite extensive. The video kind of hinted at that, and I would need a lot of time to dive into everything. But it's just the most important one, which is sharing a file or sharing a folder. In the desktop version, it's just a simple right click. You can see here, and so once you've installed it, it adds to the right click menu an item even with the little Dropbox icon that says share. Underneath you see copy Dropbox link. So the sharing feature is for if you have somebody's email address, or if they're already if you have shared with them before through the Dropbox, then it's even easier. If you have their email address, you can send it to them directly, and then they can either view it directly or decide to sign up for Dropbox if they haven't been added to their Dropbox, those kind of things. You can also copy the Dropbox link. What that means is that each file, you can generate a web address for each file or each folder, and you can share that just by sending a regular email, just cutting and pasting the link and pasting it into an email. The only disadvantage of that is if the person that you're sending to then shares it with somebody else, anybody who has the link can see the file or has access to the content of the folder that you're sharing, of the subfolder that you're sharing. You can't share your entire Dropbox. You can only share the folders that you create in your Dropbox. So that's kind of a little bit of the downside of sharing a link. But it could be, I've worked with programs who use the copy Dropbox link option to bookmark specific files or folders on learner computers, for example. They just opened them on learner computers, then bookmarked it, and every time they wanted the learner to go to that specific folder, Dropbox folder that they had set up, it would go there just using that link without having to type anything or something like that. So it can have a few interesting applications. On the web-based version, it looks a little bit different. If you're sharing a folder, that's the first little bit here. Let me try to put my cursor there. And both times you just click the share button on the right. The first one here is this is my OPERF project folder that I'm sharing with two of my colleagues. So you can see their initials there, and just below is a file that sits in that folder that I could also decide to share if I was only sharing that file in that folder. If I was sharing the file in this folder, then the people that I'm sharing it with would not have access to anything else in that folder. If I'm sharing the entire folder, they would have access to anything that is in that folder. So that's something to be aware of. So with the productivity tools and sharing features, oops, that's a little bit gone too far. You can send files and folders easily, sharing them from your desktop or on the web. You can see who else is working in Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, or Excel files to avoid losing or duplicating work. You can make file requests easily so that others know you want to work on this file now. So it's a little bit different. In Google, if you're familiar with Google Docs or Google Sheets or Google Slides, you can actually see the other person working on the file as you do it. Here, because you're using the Microsoft Office suite, there's only one person working on the file. So it depends what you prefer, if you like to collaborate on a file right at the same time, or if you'd rather take turns. These Microsoft co-authoring tools allow you to collaborate in Microsoft Office files online in real time, doing the file requests, doing those kind of things, and you can comment at the same time. You can also comment on file and photos. Not sure if you can comment on photos in Google Drive, probably. Um, there's secure share. The secure sharing allows you to protect your work by controlling who can view and edit a file or folder. That's similar in Google Drive, and you saw a little bit of that in the video just before. There's also version history that lets you recover edits made to your files for the last 30 days. On free accounts, on paid accounts, it's a lot longer. I think the 30 days seem to be industry standard for free accounts. Google Drive, I think, is giving you the same kind of period to recover files. Okay, so a lot of the things that work into how to network computers with Dropbox we've already reviewed. So this section is not going to take as long, and it's something that we can do. To say that right up front, it's something that we have done and that we can do if you're working closely, if you decide to work closely, or if you already are, an hour in the future with Alpha Plus, with our IT coaching, IT consulting services. With those, we usually work directly with about 20 organizations every year on all different kind of things. There's been, I think, 2 organizations to date who approached us because they wanted to create a somewhat, they were small organizations, so they couldn't really afford an internal network. And in one case, it wasn't articulated to us in a way that actually specified it should be an internal network. It was more an issue about instructors having to go to various lab computers with the USB stick and copy learning activities, and that was taking a lot of time. So we were trying to find a simple and free solution to create a small internal network that would save a lot of time. And essentially, what we came up with, and it seems to work, is to create 2 Dropbox accounts, one for the instructor, and set it up with the desktop version that you saw before, so the one that requires the downloading, so that instructors can create subfolders in their Dropbox. Subfolders could be, for example, one could be called instructor files, templates, I called it here, and the other one, learner files shared, I called it. They could be called whatever you wanted. There could be even individual folders for every individual lab computer or every individual learner. It then just would depend how you would share them and what computer you would share them with. And sharing with the computer to set up that little internal network would work if you're then taking every lab computer or computers that don't have to be in a lab. They could be, all they need to be, they have to be connected to the internet, so they could be in each classroom, or they could be scattered around the office. And then set up the desktop version on each of those computers and log in with one account that all these computers have in common. What will happen then is that you will see that once you have shared from the instructor's computer, for example, then the file called learner file shared, that anything you put in that, any file that you put in that folder would automatically be accessible in those learner computers and the lab computers or wherever they are, as long as they're connected to the internet. They wouldn't have to be connected to the internet permanently. There could be laptops that you, let's say, connect after you've placed the new files into your account on the instructor side. And then they have to be the first time that if they're, let's say, laptops and they run on Wi-Fi, the first time they connect, they automatically would sync Dropbox when they're first started. And you wouldn't have to put in a login or anything like that because of the desktop version that's downloaded and set up. I remember, like before, when I said if it wasn't a computer that you wanted to share, let's say, with a Dropbox that you didn't want to share with your family members, for example, and maybe on a home computer that's shared, you wanted to use the web-based version. But here there are student computers, so that would get you around eliminating the barrier of students having to log in, and they could automatically have access to that folder. So here's kind of a recap of the steps. Oops, sorry, that went too far. So you'd have to set up 2 program-specific Dropbox accounts, or a minimum of 2 to make this work. One for the instructor or one for the learners. Of course, you could set up more than 2. You could have more than one instructor computer and link some folders between the instructors so they can share resources before they're being shared with learners, for example. Then download the desktop version on each learner computer that automatically then syncs to the shared folders of the instructor's accounts. It could be multiple folders, like a minimum of 1. The files in the shared folder would be automatically accessible on each student computer. Instructors could access files offline and online anywhere, also from their home, if they needed to, or when there's a whiteout, let's say, and copy learning activity templates into the shared folder. So the way we set it up, we kind of conceived of it, you could have at least one folder where you keep the templates, and then once you're ready, once you want students to work on those, you just open those, you save as into the students subfolder, and that way you always keep your templates clean, and your students can work on the files in that shared folder, or then you can instruct your students or help your students to create a copy of the file that's in the shared folder and save it with their name, for example. The subfolders can be shared with the instructor account. So, for example, there's folders for learning activities or for each learner, if that's what you wanted. If learners want to have private or remote access to their work, you could set up separate folders that then are shared with a learner's private Dropbox account. That would be possible. Or you could provide them with the link. Then again, with the link, if they share the link with somebody else, but you could. And that way, files sync with multiple devices across the little network that you created. Do you have any questions about that before I move on to the backup issue? Just drop them in the box, in the questions chat box, if you do. So we talked a little bit already about backing up files with Dropbox. A backup of files in the Dropbox folder in Windows in the file management system of your computer is automatic as long as you're connected. Excuse me. In Windows, it's Windows Explorer. In Mac, it's the Find. Gee, I forget. I do have the Finder. There we go. I do have a Mac, and I forget what it's called. You want to make sure that the most up-to-date version is saved in your Dropbox, and that you're connected to the internet, and that syncing has completed before you shut down the computer. So if you're keeping separate files inside and outside of the Dropbox, if you want to make sure that it's backed up, it has to be in that Dropbox. If you wanted to avoid backing up of potentially corrupted files, it hasn't happened to me, but since it syncs all across, it syncs with the copy on the cloud. If you put a corrupted file in your Dropbox, then of course the copy it creates on the cloud would be also corrupted. So if you're concerned about that, then maybe periodically save each file elsewhere on your computer. So and if it's your computer that's corrupted, then you would still have the one online on the web-based version that you could access from the Dropbox cloud to restore your file. I think I mentioned before that Dropbox uses encryption during the transfer and the storage of the files in the cloud. There is no private key, and Dropbox is not what they call a zero-knowledge storage provider. Spider Oak would be, that I mentioned before, a zero-knowledge storage provider. So if that's important for you to get a backup filing system or filing solution where you can also store confidential data, then maybe something like Spider Oak would be for you. And if you're interested in that, then just write me an email and we can look into that. Okay, why use Dropbox? So other than the little network solution, you can save learner files remotely. That's particularly useful if you're working in an organization where deep freeze is used and computers are being wiped clean every time they're being shut down and restarted. Because then your learners are probably struggling a lot with USB keys, trying to remember to bring them, and those kind of things. You can distribute and manage files across the network, like we've seen. You can back up files on multiple devices in the cloud. You can share files between instructors locally and remotely. And you can collaborate on projects using Microsoft Office. So any other ideas or suggestions that you have, feel free to write them in the box or raise your hand and I give you a mic. Okay, Anne-Marie tells me Dropbox will be very useful for when working away from the office or working with others on a regional basis. Absolutely right. For example, project coordination, collaboration. Absolutely, absolutely. The network solution is not only for to link it to lab computers that could just work together between instructors of different programs and those kind of things. The reasons why I presented that solution is because we were asked to figure out a solution for that particular problem. That's a very good point. Thanks, Anne-Marie. And especially, I imagine if you doing project coordination and collaboration, there's a lot of large files that are being shared sometimes. So maybe Dropbox is not a bad solution, and you also can share files in their original format. They don't have to be transformed into Google files. So if you let's say sharing project proposals or something like that, the PDFs that the ministry sends out and things like that. So that Dropbox would be, I think, way better than Google Drive, but Google Drive would also work. It's just a little bit more onerous working with files that are not Google files. Okay, you can. There's Deborah. Thank you, Deborah. Deborah's been using Dropbox for a couple of years and loves it. She says she can access files from a computer, laptop, phone, tablet. It's so accessible. You're right. Yep. It's absolutely the accessibility is really a big bonus. Thanks, Deborah. If you have any other suggestions and or ideas or questions or comments, you can also I'll give you a little bit of time to look at the resources and then do a little feedback survey that we have to do to report to the ministry. So I'll be grateful if you can do that, and you can. I believe there is a comment box in there. You can also put your comments in there, or just send me an email. It'd be great to hear from you. So resources to get you going. There's a little 5-minute video. There's lots on YouTube on how to use Dropbox, and especially if you're interested in those productivity things, tools. There's lots of those that really show like a step-by-step kind of thing. So just Google on YouTube. This one is I found is a good one, a good short one. If you wanted to download this, that's the link where you go for Windows and Mac. Not sure if it. Well, I guess it would work on Surface as well. And anyways, Dropbox mobile app. If you wanted to, you just navigate there and you can download. You get directly to the App Store, Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, and then that one I was looking around for articles about security issues with Dropbox, and there's if you Google security issues, Dropbox and Google and Facebook are kind of on top of the list. But there are 9 ways to make a file sharing service safer to use. And those are good suggestions, or most of those are good suggestions that also work for other things, not only for Dropbox. It's a good article to read. Thank you very, very much. You can find the slides also on our archived webinars page, and since this little presentation was recorded within a day or something like that, you can also play it back from there. If you're interested in any upcoming webinars, the schedule is at those 2 links. And it would be absolutely fantastic if you can fill out the feedback survey, and I will drop the link into the chat box so you can click on it, because GoToWebinar doesn't allow to make these things clickable. There you go. Thanks very much. I'll stay till 3 o'clock at least. If you have more questions, I can give you the mic if you like. And that's it. Thanks very much.